Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and this is going to be my Spring 2018 anime and other shows watch list video, talking about everything that I'm watching for the Spring 2018 season, both anime and, as I say, other shows like live action shows and such like that, much as I have done in the past. Although with this particular video, I'm going to try to do this a little more rapid fire, try to keep everything condensed and moving along at a brisk pace, so as to hopefully make this video not be as lengthy as they usually tend to be when I do them. So with that in mind, we're going to get right into it, starting off with Sundays. And the first show I watch on Sundays is Shokugeki no Soma, Sen no Sera, Toutsuki, Ressha-hen, the second half of the third season of Shokugeki no Soma, which returned, and I'm covering in weekly reviews, so if you want to know what I happen to think of that particular show, check out my weekly reviews of that. Very much enjoying it. I'll just put it in a nutshell. Apart from that, I'm watching Nil Admirari no Tenbin, Teito, Genwaku, Kitan, and I talked about this briefly in a previous video. I love the OP of this particular series, but what really drew me to it was the animation style and the character designs and everything like that was highly reminiscent to me of two series I covered in episodic reviews a couple of seasons back, one being Dance with Devils and the other being Norn 9, and it even adds in a little bit of Black Clover in there for good measure, in the fact that it's very much a story about this young lady who witnesses her brother trying to commit suicide. He tries to light himself on fire, seemingly in answer to the fact that she is, having an arranged marriage scenario playing out where she's trying to marry into a wealthy family because her own family has lost out on money and everything like that. And to keep in good with society and wealth and the honorability of, society type people, the high and mighty and all this kind of stuff, she's going to marry into a more wealthy family. And it seems like this is what set her brother off to want to kill himself, to recoil and feeling like, hopeless, and there's no hope in life or anything like that. And it turns out that he was holding a book at the time that he was trying to set himself on fire, and it's very much reminiscent to Black Clover, as I say, in that all of these books, it's almost like there is this evil, this demonic essence that, emanates from them, emotions and things like that, negative emotions, and it has influence on people. These very old-style Japanese, hand-bound novels or tomes. And because of the trauma she suffers witnessing her brother trying to kill himself, she begins to be able to perceive the energy coming off of them, and so gets involved with this special unit that goes out seeking these tomes and tries to quash them, quell them, save the people who are being influenced by them and things like that. And I just love the show. It's sort of a passive watch. I'm not, reviewing it or anything like that. But as I say, I love the OP. I love the animation style and such like that. Rounding out Sundays anime-wise is Caligula for me, and it was kind of reminiscent to me of a similarly, concurrently airing anime in Persona 5, the animation. I think they're, loosely similar, but what I really loved about Caligula in the first episode was a lot of the psychological discussion. I think it, too, is based on a game, like Persona 5, the animation is. And it's just really interesting, kind of akin to Love Live. They have this character called Muse, and it's symbolized by the little U symbol. But she is effectively kind of like an AI pop idol, I think. And there's a whole lot of brainwashing going on. The main character is experiencing really strange things in the first couple of episodes. He's got somebody who apparently is well adept at the shift in the world and the vision of the world that is going on and unfolding, and this guy comes to the main character and is trying to explain things. Main character doesn't want anything to do with it. It's a little hard to make sense of, but by the end of the second episode, you've kind of got a handle on what's going on, and it's just a matter of how the main character is going to adapt and deal with it. And then on Sundays, live action series-wise, I'm watching Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 3, which has been a little hit and miss for me. The first two seasons were far better, far funnier, far suspenseful, more suspenseful, and so far Season 3's just been kind of meh. The latest episode, as of the time of this recording, was actually much more entertaining. Like Ash kills himself and goes into this afterlife realm or something that's tinted green, and it was much more interesting, put it that way, than season 3 has thus far been. But so that's everything I'm watching on Sunday. Shokugeki no Souma, second half of season 3, Nil Admirari no Tenbin, Teito, Genwaku, Kitan, and Caligula, as well as Ash vs. Evil Dead. So, getting us on to Mondays, the first show I'm watching on Mondays is Kakuriyo no Yadomeshi, and I've been debating about dropping this one because it's just, I don't know, it's a very passive watch series. I really love the OP of this series as well as, Nil Admirari. And, I'm sort of compelled loosely by the story, again, featuring a main character who's a young woman. Her grandfather was able to traverse between the apparent realm, the living, waking world, and the hidden realm, the sort of spiritual realm, where I guess he racked up too many bar tabs or something. He owes money to this ogre king or prince or whatever it is, who's another one of the main characters. And eventually, this young woman's coming home one day, and she has the sort of second sight. And this ogre approaches her and asks her for food. He says he's hungry. She gives him food, but then he lays it down that, hey, I knew your grandfather. He owes me money, and he put you up as collateral, so you're coming to the hidden realm. And so now that she's in the hidden realm, it's very much revolving around her trying to figure out a way to make up for the money her grandfather, accrued, that he now owes and everything. And they're hinting at the idea that she's going to open a restaurant kind of scenario where she's going to make food from the apparent realm, the living world, for the spiritual realm and things like that. And it's been interesting, revolving around Ayakashi and yokai and things like that. Kind of has a Beauty and the Beast vibe in that the ogre wants to marry her. And he doesn't look like a monster. He's just sort of normal looking with horns. I think he has horns. But it's just kind of a passive watch, and it really kind of reminds me of Elegant Yokai Apartment Life, which I watched a season or two ago, in that it's just kind of passive, and I don't know if it's really going to be building to anything. It remains to be seen, but it is enjoyable. It's not bad. I just don't know if I'm going to be sticking with it or not for like the 25 episode length of it that I've seen on my anime list. Also on Mondays, I'm watching Souten no Ken Regenesis, which is sort of the prequel to Fist of the North Star, and it's not bad, really, but it's not great either. The CG animation is a lot to really get used to, and with, the main character Kenshiro, his neck is wider than the bulk of his head, so his neck is like out on the sides like this, and his face is very small in between. It's not great. I had higher hopes for it, but unfortunately I was let down. Also on Mondays, I'm watching the fantastic, thus far, Golden Kamuy. It has been really fun, really engaging, has a sort of westernized story, which is interesting, being that it's taking place post the Russo-Japanese War. And the second episode of which was the most recent that I watched, really reminded me of the late 80s comedy action film Midnight Run with Robert De Niro and Charles Grodin. And if you haven't seen that film and you've watched the episode, you probably won't get what I'm talking about. But it was really entertaining. It's really captivating. This guy, this former soldier who's pseudo-retired, comes across this plot whereby a gangster had hid a bunch of stolen gold. And the way, when they were all imprisoned, he managed to map out how to recoup this gold at some later date, was he tattooed all of these different criminals with bits and bobs that, when put all together, will lead to where the gold is, either via a map or a series of clues and that kind of thing. And it's just really, really compelling. And I had it, this was a series that I had recommended to me, so I checked it out, and I was pleasantly surprised at how engaging it was. Rounding out Mondays is Piano no Mori, which, as I understand it from my anime list, there was a film version of, which is said to be that much better than the anime so far, only a couple episodes in. But the thing is, the anime has a lot going for it. One of its biggest detractors is the CG animation whenever the main character is playing the piano, or any characters are playing the piano. It's very noticeable. It's very standout. It's not very good. But the rest of it, from the classical music revolving around Mozart and Chopin and Beethoven, getting to hear an old school folk tune like Little Brown Jug in the first episode, my favorite version of which is the Glenn Miller Big Band 1930s, 1940s interpretation of. Hearing this classical music and everything like that, the passion that the characters have for it, it's really engaging to me. It's kind of, taking the place of Classicaloid, which I covered episodically through its, first and second seasons. So I am really enjoying it, but I do want to eventually see the movie because people say it's plotted much better and things like that. And this is after only 2 episodes, so, making that kind of a judgment call already. Getting on to Tuesdays, I'm watching the still currently airing Black Clover. I'm still very much engaged with it. I never expected to be, but I'm actually really enjoying it. I've been enjoying Asta's growth and development and the surrounding characters that have come into play and everything like that. I'm just still watching and enjoying it. I'm also watching the 3-minute short subject series Tachibanakan, or yeah, I think that's what it is. Tachibanakan Triangle, and this is just mindless sort of nonsense. It's only 4 minutes in length every episode, and I can get through that in a breeze every Tuesday. So I'm watching it. It's not great. It's not anything to really write home about, but whatever. Tuesdays, I'm also watching 3D Kanojo Real Girl, which I am covering in weekly reviews, much as I said with Shokugeki no Souma. If you want to know what I think of that series, check out my weekly review coverage. Also on Tuesdays, rounding it out, live action wise, I'm still watching now season 2 of the televised version of Lethal Weapon, and this show just gets better and better and better as it goes along. I love it. I love the development of Riggs and his family, his background and everything like that. That is the most standout aspect of it. So, yeah, that's Tuesdays. Getting us on to Wednesdays now. The first thing I'm watching is Last Period, and I'm not going to go through the entirety of this title. It ends with Monogatari. This was another recommendation I had sent my way. And I do get a kick out of it, but it's kind of a passive thing. It hasn't been out and out hilarious to me. It's kind of, akin to Konosuba. That's how it was recommended to me, that it was similar, cut from similar cloth. But I think it's not nearly as funny. But it is kind of cute and mildly entertaining. So thus far, I'm 2 episodes in. I'm kind of just watching it passively every Wednesday because I'm coming off of, the previous season where I didn't have anything to watch on Wednesdays, and now I got a few things to watch. I do love one aspect that is actually laugh out loud funny is one of the main characters. There's this guy and this girl. The girl's name is Choco, and constantly she's saying something. She's like breaking the fourth wall every other line of dialogue, and constantly her compadre turns around and is like, Choco, what did you say? Did you say something? And like they keep going back to the well with that joke, but it makes me laugh. I just find it funny. That is the one redeeming thing about Last Period thus far, for me. I'm also watching Alice Siscon Niisan to Futago no Imouto, and this is another 3-minute long short subject. Not really sure why I'm watching it other than because it's so short, but it does beg the question, what in the hell is with the Japanese sisterly obsession thing? Even a character in Black Clover is like that, where they play up, sort of parodying the idea that these characters, they have this weird fascination with their younger sisters, and they get off almost on the idea of their little sisters looking up and saying, oh, I love you, Oni-san, or whatever. I don't get it. I don't get it. And this is a whole series revolving around that, but at least it's only 4-minute episodes. I'm also watching, when it airs, Shiyan Pin Jiating, which is Creature Family Days or whatever it is. It's very chill, the first episode. It was pretty funny, cute and funny, but it's a couple days now after the second episode was supposed to air, and I can't find it anywhere. So I have it listed as something I want to watch and would be watching if I could find it. And I will continue to do so as the episodes are available, but I don't know where it is as of the time of this recording from episode 2 on. And then rounding out Wednesdays is the return of Steins with Steins 0. And I frickin' love Steins Gate. I did a whole full series overview discussion after I had marathoned through the first season. I've subsequently watched special episodes, the follow-up movie, and things like that, and a couple of the OVAs and shorts, you know, bridging the gap between that and Steins Gate Zero, which is now currently airing. One thing I gotta say is, as much as I love Okabe, the main character, and Kurisu, and I'm captivated by what he's dealing with in failing to save her life at this point in the story, this sort of beta line. My favorite characters in Steins Gate have always been Mayuri and Ruka or Luka, because I found in the first season they were both the most compelling, the most heartbreaking, the most characterized. And I just was instantly drawn to both of them. I want to hug and embrace and hold Mayuri. I feel so bad for Ruka, what she went through and that kind of thing, or Luka, as I say. And they are my favorite characters above all. Where I can understand people really fawning over, you know, Okabe and the fact that, you know, what is transpiring with Kurisu at this point. I can understand why people hold her up in the highest esteem, but for me it's always going to be Mayuri and Luka, those characters. So getting on to Thursdays, I am watching Tada-kun wa Koi wo Shinai, which also translates to Tada-kun won't fall in love, or doesn't fall in love, or never falls in love. And I could not more highly recommend this series. 3 episodes in as of the time of this recording, and they have been charming and heartwarming and laugh out loud. The latest episode dealing with Nyanko Big, the cat, and his inner monologue, I was dying. I was laughing every other scene, all throughout. It is just one of my favorite, you know, anime series of the spring 2018 season thus far. I could not more highly recommend Tada-kun Never Falls in Love. I'm also watching on Thursdays Comic Girls, which the first episode, which, you know, it was really slow to get going for me. I think we're 3 episodes into that now as well as of the time of this recording. And the second episode, the entirety of the second episode was meh. It kind of fell flat. I wasn't as engaged as I had been in the first episode, where it was really slow to get going, but then I was laughing my ass off from the half point to the end of the episode. Now we got on to episode 3, and there were a couple of laughs. I found some of it funny, but mainly I'm just sort of feeling bad for Chaos-chan, the main character. It's, as the title suggests, about this foursome of aspiring mangakas in high school, basically, and they're sharing a dorm, and they're trying to sort of, in living together and interacting, they're trying to learn and gain benefits off of each other, you know, each other's skills and everything like that. You have the one eccentric character whose name escapes me, but she has blue hair, and she's kind of like tomboyish and very much into, like, you know, heroic characterizations and everything like that, being muscular, very muscular. And it's not bad. It's, you know, it's kind of akin to Last Period, where it's kind of flat. It's just a passive watch. It's a little bit relaxing in that I just like having an anime playing, and I'm mildly engaged. It's nothing spectacular for me 3 episodes into it, which is a shame. I don't think I'm going to drop it, though, because it's probably only 12 episodes. And then rounding out Thursdays, of course, is Megalo Box, which I am covering in weekly episodic reviews. I could not speak more highly about it. It is fantastic. Check out my weekly coverage if you want to see what I think of it. That brings us to Fridays, which is the day I'm watching the most in one fell swoop, with the return of Full Metal Panic, its season Invisible Victory. It's really nice to have Full Metal Panic back. I marathoned through the entirety of everything that had come before some time ago now. And the only problem I have is I almost remember nothing about it. It's been so long. So, like, you know, as I understand it, seeing people talk about it on my anime list, the first episode picks up with, like, you know, no time between where it left off, I don't know, like 10 years ago or something like that. And so I'm going to have to get into it as it goes on, the second episode for which is going to be airing today as of the time of this recording. And I'm also watching the still continuing Toji no Miko Katana Maidens. I liked the entirety of the first arc. They're kind of in a second arc now with the second half of the season, 24 episodes or something like that in length. And I'm enjoying it. It's relatively passive, but it's much more engaging than some of the things I've talked about as not being that engaging in this season. I'm also watching Akun to Kanojo, which is another sort of 3-4 minute episode, cute, funny, short series. The guy, you know, he's obsessed with this girl who I guess is kind of his girlfriend, but he's always in you know, to her face, he's always demeaning her and dissing her and treating her like dirt and garbage and everything like that. But whenever she's not paying attention to him, he's obsessed with her, taking her picture and thinking she's adorable and cute. And then you get the essence in one of the latest episodes that the girlfriend is aware that he does this. She's fine with it. She likes him, loves him that much that she puts up with it, kind of thing. It's kind of cute. It's kind of funny. Out of all 3 of the 4-minute short subject series that I'm watching, it is the best of them all. At least as far as I'm concerned. I'm also watching on Fridays Hinamatsuri, which is really funny, really cute, sort of Mork from Ork-esque, for Mork and Mindy fans, people who are old enough to remember that. This, like, alien girl or whatever she is, she appears one day in this Yakuza's apartment in, like, a metallic egg. And, like, when he opens it, she's got, like, telekinetic powers, which ruins all of his really expensive, you know, vases and vases and whatever, you know, kind of stuff, ceramics. And it's weird. Like, he's become very much accepting to her, sort of because he has no other recourse, and she has helped him take down rival gang members and things like that, and a gang boss, and using her abilities. Another girl just showed up who apparently knows her, and I guess is an alien as well, and has her own power set and such like that. It's been laugh out loud funny. It's been really engaging, and I'm really enjoying it. And I got the estimation on my anime list that there was like an OVA or something produced a long time ago now, which I guess this series is pseudo-based on. So that's cool. That's interesting. And then I'm also watching Maho Shoujo Site on Fridays, which I hated the first episode for. Thus far, I've gotten into episode 2, and I'm intrigued enough by it that I am so far sticking with it, whereas I almost cut it off entirely. I almost dropped it entirely after episode 1 because of how depressive it was and just over the top as far as, you know, bullying and demeaning and hurting the main character and everything like that. It's sort of Magical Girl-esque, but of course it's kind of akin... you know, to Madoka Magica. It's doing the dark, edgy thing, and it's gotten a little more interesting via episode 2. So I'm going to give it a 3rd episode and see if, you know, if I want to stick with it for now. But I really hated the first episode. I can't even oversell that fact. And then rounding out Fridays, I'm still watching the still concurrently airing Beatless, which is not bad. It's okay. It's a little more engaging than a couple of things that I've talked about as being sort of meh, or just passively watching, like Last Period and things like that, Comic Girls. You know, to do with like an AI, you know, android chick, and the guy takes her in and whatever like that. I'm not going to explain what the series is about. If you have any familiarity with it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I do find it enjoyable. And finally, to round us all out for the week, on Saturdays I'm watching Sword Art Online Alternative Gun Gale Online, which I love. The GGO arc in Sword Art Online 2, the first half of that season, was my favorite Sword Art Online anything. So to revisit that with new characters who are equally as engaging, if not more so, loving it. And then after that, Persona 5, the animation, which I mentioned previously, I find it really interesting, even though I'm not entirely sold on what in the hell is going on. It's kind of told via flashbacks is the essence I get. This cat was arrested, you know, for like delinquency and a crime of robbery they were trying to commit, him in a group or whatever like that. And it's all about this, like, I wrote it down in my notes here. It's kind of like an alternate dimension wherein your persona takes over and it can have powers and there's some sort of influential force behind it. I'm not exactly sure. I know it was based on a game or series of games, and I find it interesting. I like the animation. I'm compelled to learn more about what's going on, and hopefully we will. You know, we'll find out more as the anime series unfolds. Also on Saturdays, I'm watching the second half of the second season of Hozuki no Reitetsu, subtitled Sono Ni, and it's good as usual. I love the entirety of the first season. That was something that was recommended to me by my friend Dana a long time ago, and I marathoned through it, loved it. I marathoned through the first half of the second season a couple of months back, and now that it's back, I'm enjoying it once again. And to round us all out for the week, finally on Saturdays, is the 2018 iteration of Gegege no Kitaro, which is fun and funny and engaging. It's the animation style, at least in the main character Kitaro, reminds me very much of the art style of Charles Addams, the creator of the Addams Family and his cartoon shorts and things like that. And I really love. This was something that apparently I've learned through my anime list has been around since the 60s, but I had first encountered Gegege no Kitaro via a 2011, I think it is, live-action movie, which I had just bought for the hell of it out of curiosity at my local Borders before that series, or store rather, that chain store went, bankrupt and all closed their doors. And I had watched the movie, I liked it, I was compelled by it. When I saw that a new iteration of an anime form was coming around, I was like, damn, I gotta check this out. And it's pretty good. It reminds me of Ishio Totora a little bit, because it's dealing with yokai and Kitaro, while I think he's like a hybridization human yokai mix, and he sort of bridges the gap between, the living world and the yokai world and everything like that. The Gegege forest, as he lives, he's got his little dad, which is an eyeball with a body. Papa Eyeball or Daddy Eyeball, he's called. You got Cat Girl or Cat Chick, whatever like that, who's kind of sort of tsundere into him, and then the human girl whose name escapes me. But they're sort of solving qualms revolving around monster yokai and things like that every episode. People, human beings going missing or their souls being sapped, and Kitaro has to be called into the fray to put a stop to it, to save lives and save souls and things like that. And it's really engaging. The OP music, it's apparently the same OP, much akin to Doctor Who. If you go back to the 1960s and compare it with the modern series, it has the same opening music going all the way back to the first iteration back in the 60s. And it's a really catchy tune. Gay, no gay. It's pretty hilarious. Always gets my sister and I cracking up, especially when we just start humming it or singing it at random because it's that catchy. But that is everything. That is everything I'm watching. I will put the listing in the description below once again, not to recap it, to keep this video as short as possible, now at almost 28 minutes in length. If it, in case you want to check out every day what I talked about, instead of making a list on your own, going back and watching the video again, it'll be in the listing of the description of this video, everything I'm watching. And, but yeah, that is my thoughts on everything thus far for the spring 2018 season. I'm not planning on dropping any of this at all whatsoever at the moment. It is the most I've ever watched at one given time during one given season, with 26 full anime series, and that's not counting the live action shows that I'm watching currently. And thus far, I'm mostly enjoying all of them. There are a few that are more passive, a few that are a little meh, but, it's like, what else do I have to do with my time? I'm just going to watch the stuff and enjoy it as much as I can. And that's really kind of what I want to do these days. It's, this is a season where there's so much stuff that I want to sample out and engage in and see, how I react to it. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you're watching for the spring 2018 season. Anything still holdover from previous seasons, anything I haven't talked about watching, which if I haven't, chances are I'm not really going to be interested in it in any way, shape, or form. But I do love hearing, from you guys, your excitement for things and such like that. And so yeah, otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Happy watching, folks. Peace.